What is up? Welcome to this week's episode of the Vanflip podcast. This week I am joined by Ricky Hoover, who is the vocalist for the blackened deathcore group Ov Sulfur. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's a little late on my side of the country, but I know you just got off work and some stuff too, so I appreciate you also rescheduling because we had a little conflict a couple weeks ago, so I'm gracious that you joined us tonight.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
So a lot of people may know you from your time in your previous band, but what have you been doing since then? Because you were only, in that outfit for a short number of years.
Yeah, I was in there from 2008 to 2012. After Suffokate, I went to barber college.
Nice.
Actually, yeah. I've been doing that now since, and basically had kids, just lived the normal life and stepped as far away from music as I could before I came back, actually.
Well, we'll get a little into that later on, but let's talk about the new group. You've been releasing a couple songs here and there throughout the last couple months. So how did Ov Sulfur come to fruition?
So basically, when quarantine happened, I wasn't able to work. I had all this time on my hands, and I'm a very if I'm not working, I feel like I'm boring, I guess. You know what I mean? I get stir crazy. So I posted some stuff on Instagram about wanting to jam with people, just make some music for fun. And I was also venturing back into metal, and I kept doing like the Ask Me or like the suggestion boxes or whatever on Instagram. Mm-hmm. People would give me new bands to listen to. So I just got into fully immersed into current deathcore and was just blown away by the progression. So I posted online about wanting to jam and got linked to my guitar player Chase through another mutual friend of ours. And then he had some musicians in mind, all like-minded people who would, want to get together and make some music. Originally, I wanted to do a technical death metal, and we kind of realized that wasn't really something we actually wanted to pursue. So we decided to, do some cool deathcore with some black metal elements and some symphonic elements and shit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if the terminology of a blackened deathcore group, if that kind of fits the mold, because it does seem a little different than just your traditional deathcore, obviously.
Well, it's very subjective. I mean, we get people that are like, there's no blackened in this at all, like the whole music elitist nerds. I think it's more so it's coming from the perspective of the people writing the music versus, what people want to classify as this or that. Mm-hmm. Like, we all have different influences, and I love black metal. I love symphonic black metal. I love traditional black metal. You know what I mean? It's just like the lyrical content and other things like that. I would say we have blackened, elements, just like everything else. We kind of like to mix a little bit of everything. That's also why we have kind of rough type singing, mm-hmm. People call them cleans, but I don't think they're clean at all. I think it's more like rough, sounding singing, basically.
A little bit of little bit of yelling.
A little bit of yell, scream singing or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
how would you describe if a traditional Suffokate fan came, from your time in the band, what would be the difference between that version of that sound compared to Ov Sulfur's?
When I joined Suffokate, we were the sound was kind of progressing and changing to more melodic, still heavy, but more metal influence. I came in and I had more of a metal, I don't want to say influence, but my voice is a little bit different than Jared, the original singers. So I guess I would say it's still super heavy. That's our goal, to be, nice and heavy, but also have just other elements mixed in. So, we love orchestral arrangements and symphonic things like that. So I guess I would say it's just as heavy, if not some of the stuff's actually even heavier that we'll have coming out in the future. But just with more layers, I guess,
right. So yeah, one of the latest tracks you just released, I think, has a feature of Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying. So how did that kind of come into How did that come to play?
It still trips me out because like all of my friends have been writing me like, dude, I remember you being, you know, like 19 or whatever, just, you know, driving in your truck screaming, listening to this band, and now you're like buddies with them. And so we actually met at the memorial show for Mitch Schlucker. That's what Suicide Silence did. Mm-hmm. We were both singing a track each. And we met then, and, you know, I thought he was like the nicest dude I've ever met in metal, basically. You know, I've met some assholes, and he was really genuine and really nice. And we lost touch or whatever after that. And then, you know, I'm assuming someone sent him my before and after photos comparing Suffokate days to the Behind the Hand of God video, our debut video. And I've put on, I don't know, like 100 pounds since those days.
A little bulked
and
up.
He has a little bit, you know, I found the gym and I found good food instead of, you know, the dollar menu. And, and he reached out to me and wrote me on Instagram and, you know, wanted to like get together for a workout and, you know, maybe share how our body transformations are pretty similar, because he used to be a skinnier dude too, and he just got massive. So, and then just became, you know, started talking, and I sent him a video of me actually singing to an As I Lay Dying song, just, and he's like, that's awesome, blah, 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 you know, he just got started or whatever, and or started talking about it, and I was like, dude, do you want to be on one of our tracks? And he's like, yeah, for sure, you know, hell yeah. So, and we all tripped out about it, and I still trip out about it. So it's pretty cool.
Do you worry about anything, like any negative backlash from that, stemming from like this, you know?
I was waiting for that. You know what, man? Like, we've gotten some negatives, but like, in my opinion, you get negative stuff with everything you do. Like, I mean, like there's been websites that have written negative articles about me when I've done anything. Like, I sewed my ears up, negative review. I became a barber, negative review. Like, you're always going to get negative stuff, you know, and if people don't want to support us because we chose to have him in a song, then you know what, man, like, good riddance. You know, people are too hung up on things that other people do when they know nothing about them. I'm not defending anything, but I'm just saying you should probably get to know people before you make any kind of assumption or judgment on them. You know, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody learns from their mistakes. And I mean, the guy, you know, went to prison for it. He served his time for it. He, you know, that's what he had to do, and he did it. And you know what? He's come out a fucking amazing person. Yeah. So I'm honored to have him on a track.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I was curious because obviously it is a, you know, touchy subject in the metalcore scene. So everyone has an opinion, just like an asshole. So, you know, everyone has an asshole. Everyone has an opinion, you know?
Yeah. You're always going to have that. You know what I mean? Like, you're always going to have, you know, and like I said, man, like, you could be wearing the wrong colored t-shirt and someone would be like, oh, I hate this band now, or whatever. Like, I don't care. You know, I make music for fun. If people like it, then awesome. I'm doing it for me, you know? And having someone that I looked up to as a beginning vocalist, I mean, I saw them in 2000, what was it? It was 2006.
Yeah, I mean, they were like, for the golden years of early metalcore for sure. Or,
yeah, man, it was them. It was them, Killswitch Engage, the Black Dahlia Murder, a band called Soilwork. It was amazing. Amazing show. So it's like, why would I not want to have someone that I've been a fan of for fucking 20 years, whatever, on my song? Yeah. Just because of a mistake they made.
You're not the only band to have them featured either. So, I mean, it's happened since then, or since, you know, whatever. Is your relationship with Tim, does it start before all of that drama in his life, or is it afterwards? Did you guys?
We met at the Mish show, so that was in 2012. So okay. I think that's before all that stuff happened.
Right. Just making sure.
You know, and then we didn't like reconnect until, you know, after Behind the Hand of God, the video came out. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a big gap in time there. You know. So
interesting. So going back to what brought you back into, like, you know, deathcore and getting kind of like influenced by that. What kind of new sound and new bands were you listening to that kind of pushed you into the idea of like, hey, I could maybe do this again, or I want to do this again?
Let's see, Lorna Shore. Holy shit!
Yeah, how'd you think about the new single they just dropped?
Well, you know, I know Austin a little bit, so I had a little preview a little bit before they you know, and that dude's ridiculous. Will Ramos is his vocals are legendary. So I'm really happy they found someone that had so much skill to replace,
Yeah.
So them, obviously Slaughter to Prevail, Alex is, in my opinion, the GOAT. Like, he's unreal. I've talked to him a little bit. He's a really nice dude too. Shadow of Intent. I cannot get enough of that band. Let's see. Who else? I'm probably forgetting a lot now because of it.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, whenever you're on the spot, you can't remember,
Right.
Well,
you've named a decent bunch, a decent core of those, bands that are kind of doing some stuff that are moving the needle a little bit. Like you said, Lorna Shore, the new single's pretty, crazy, wild.
Oh my God, yeah, dude! Like the tunnel vocals he did. I mean, like, believe it. Like, I learned all these new singers doing these things is kind of what, like, back when I was in Suffokate, I was able to do I could do gutturals and all those cool lower voices type things, and I really liked a lot of gore grind kind of bands where they did a lot of this stuff, but like I wasn't really able to do it in Suffokate. So I had my Suffokate voice, and then I had a different voice. Now, listening to all these new bands being able, not new to me anyway, these bands being able to do this in this realm of music, it kind of made me want to progress my vocals and learn more and more and more just to do it, just for fun,
right.
So like, or Left to Suffer, holy, like, that's amazing. Left to Suffer.
They're pretty killer.
My buddies in Carcosa are ridiculous. Johnny's amazing. They all just are taking these vocals to the next step, and that's kind of wanting to be like, damn, dude, I wonder if I can make these sounds, or I wonder if I can do this,
Right.
So, yeah, I kind of just, went from there, and holy crap, we're getting a really, really good response. I didn't expect it, so.
Yeah, how did you guys link up with getting, your team together? Because did you use any kind of, like, your old connections from being in, like, the scene? Because when you said you stepped away for a little bit, it sounds like you stepped away for, all intents and purposes, and kind of like had that, it's part of your brain and life kind of like closed off. But then here you are, a band, you started a band during the quarantine, and all of a sudden you got, like, all the eyes.
It's insane. When you're right, when I left metal to begin with, I put blinders up. I had a really bad experience with the band when I left Suffokate. I had a really bad experience with that, and like, it was just very, very toxic, and I didn't want to be involved in any of that at all, and plus, when I was in Suffokate the last year and a half, I was suicidal, heavily suicidal. That's what the last couple of years, actually. The last record I wrote with them was all about me killing myself, basically. All the songs are about me wanting to kill myself.
Was it because of the stuff in the band, or was it the stuff outside of the band in life?
Everything in general. I mean, when I got into Suffokate, I was just pissed at the world and wanted to kill the world, basically. That's what that first record's about. And then when I wrote the second record with them, it was all just about me wanting to die because I just wasn't happy. You have your dream, you're touring, whatever, and it's not the life you think it is. And I was very unhappy about it. And, like, I didn't want to be in that toxic environment at all anymore. So I stopped talking to literally everybody. I cut any kind of connection, any other band members for other bands, anybody. I cut it all out.
Was it like an overnight type thing, or did it kind of stuff lead up to it, and then you just kind of let everybody know?
So I got into it with the drummer of that band. Him and I never got along, and we never saw eye to eye and whatnot. We got into it pretty bad. Some stuff was told to the band that wasn't true, stuff to the label that wasn't true, and blah, 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 blah. And basically, him and I got into a screaming match on the phone to where, I wanted it to get violent. It was bad. It was real bad. Mm-hmm. So, just like that, we hung up, and I talked to the guitar player, and I was like, look, man, you guys all have your side gigs, you cook, he does this, he sells drugs, he does all this other shit, right? I was like, I don't have anything. All I did was the band.
Right.
I would do interviews, and that's all I would do. I didn't have a side thing to make any kind of income other than like manual labor when I could get it, Mm-hmm. I did property management or construction. So I said, I need to go and get something else. I said, I'm going to go to barber college. I at the time was hanging around at a barbershop a lot that I was friends with the people there at the time. And they were like, dude, you have a really good eye for haircuts and for hair and shape and all the things that go into good, proper haircuts. You should go to barber college. I think you'll be a great barber, is what one of my buddies told me that worked there. So I looked into it. I got the financial aid for it since I was broke, obviously, being in a band, you don't make money.
Right. No, yeah, of course.
And I started school. I told my guitar player, I said, look, man, I'm going to go to school. I said, you guys wanted to take a break from touring anyway. I didn't at the time, but that's what kind of propelled it to the end. I wanted to keep going hard and whatnot, and They all wanted to take a break. So I said, during this break, I'm going to go to barber college. I said, I need to break away for a little bit. And he was like, okay, that's cool. And he was like, how long do you think it takes? And I was like 6 months. I had no idea it takes a year. It's 1,500 hours in California of schooling. And then I think a month into it, I sent everybody a text message. I sent everybody, it's kind of a shitty thing, I guess, but looking back, but I sent everybody a text message. My drummer was stoked, obviously. He wanted me out of the band.
Yeah.
But I mean, they tried to go after me, and multiple singers left because of the drummer. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But my other band members claim they never got the text message. So I felt like an asshole when I found that out. We've all reconnected. Everybody that I thought I might have had some kind of problems with in the band when we would butt heads, we're all on great terms now. Like Bray, the bass player, he was in it, and then we got a different bass player after he left. Bray and I never got along, but I called him and, put on my big boy pants and apologized for everything and wanted to be on good terms. I apologized to Taylor. I apologized to everybody because I was kind of an asshole back then, and everybody, we're all on good terms except for me and the drummer, and I don't think that'll ever happen. So I'm not really about it.
You got most of them, so one stagger you can let slide. Well, that was my next question. If you kind of like reconnected with any of the old guys, and if the bury the hatchets, or if it's easy sailing with you guys now. So it's good to know that you kind of patch things up with the old gang. Time has a way of helping you to really see things for what they are and look back and get some perspective and be like, yo, man, I was an asshole, or I shouldn't have always been so quick to want to get violent, or that was my biggest problem. I always wanted to get violent with everybody. You can't do that in a band. No, yeah,
you can't do that with anybody.
Especially because you spend so much time with those people, especially on the road and stuff like that. Tempers can flare really quick. But it also sounds like you kind of did a lot of mental health work along the time too. So
yeah, I went to therapy. I went to therapy, a lot of therapy. Like I said, I used to I would daydream about walking into traffic. Like it was bad. It was a really dark time. And the lyrics in that album are very, very. If you read those lyrics, it shows that. But yeah, I did a lot of self-reflection and a lot of that kind of shit. So I like to think I matured a little bit, and I'm not a overly aggressive or quick to violent person anymore, So
well, it sounds like you've as you become a bigger man and apologized and done this and that. So that shows growth in itself right there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just I'm the first to admit that I used to try to fight everybody. It was fucking stupid. So
that's just part of this.
I'd get a bad review and I'd fucking, where do you live? Blah blah.
Yeah.
Stupid shit. I was young. I was stupid.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about leaving music again and going into hair school. So you were hanging around the barbershop and whatnot, and you just decided to give it a whirl. And so how was school for you? Was it something that you enjoyed, or did you find like it was tough because most people that go to these I don't want to say like technical schools, but sometimes don't technical school. Sometimes they just can't even get through that.
Well, what I found with barber college is a lot of the people who went to barber college at that time, like I've been doing it for almost a decade now, so I've had some time in it. I don't know how it is at the game. The barber game has changed immensely since I've started, even. But a lot of people at that school were there for years, like years. They didn't have anything else, which, whatever, that happens. But for me, I kind of just clicked right into place. And that's kind of, I'm not one to half-ass stuff. If I do something, I do it fully. I mean, obviously, I just immerse myself fully in it. And barbering for me was just something that I don't want to say that I picked up fairly easy. I understood the fundamentals of head shape and hair density and things like that are really important to proper haircuts that a lot of people don't pay attention to when they do haircuts. So I kind of just clicked in with it. The people in the school is a little weird. I was still in that time of my life where I was, very violent and aggressive. So I had a few things, you know what I mean? But
a few little issues with some people.
But other than that, man, I just I just kind of kept my head in the barber book and finished. And, I didn't end up working at that shop that I was supposed to end up working at. Some stuff happened, and I ended up working at a high-end salon rather than the barbershop, which was amazing. I'm so glad I did that, because I was able to kind of, everybody cuts hair differently. There's not any one specific standard way. And the way I like to cut hair is there's not a lot of room for error the way I cut hair. So if I do anything up, I could mess the whole haircut up. Right. But so, I was really able to hone my craft at that shop. And then after working there, or at that salon, and then after working there for a few years, I opened up my own personal little suite, and yeah, man, I just kind of thankfully flourished, and then I had a kid and ended up having to move to Vegas because that's where his mother's from, and she moved back, and now I have a shop out here. And it's been crazy successful. It's ridiculous.
So you how many guys do you have working in your little shop there? Is it?
Well, no. So that's the beauty of it. It's just me. Which is very beneficial during COVID times, because people don't want to be around a lot of other people. So it's kind of helped me a lot, actually.
Is it one of those shops where you can not only get a haircut, but a beard trim and some kind of I watch a lot of videos on Instagram now, a bunch of barber hair videos on there.
Oh yeah.
Because I get lost in watching the guys with the straight razors and stuff. I mean, I go to those kind of barbers. I haven't been in a little bit. I need to go. But
come to Vegas, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe next time. But do you do the facial kind of stuff and the other kind of neck cracking and everything?
I don't do the facial things. I do straight razor shaves and that kind of stuff, and some cleansers or that kind of stuff during a shave. I don't necessarily do a lot of the other fancy stuff with the hot steamer and all that stuff. I'm a little bit more traditional than the old school aspect of it,
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff's kind of within the last few years is really popping off,
Yeah.
So I kind of prefer the old school, I guess.
I get you. I guess I need to go to India or something like that and go see one of those guys that'll crack my neck in 40 different places. And,
oh man, Turkish barbers, bro. Turkish barbers.
Those guys. Yeah, I need to go. I watch a lot of those guys on the Instagram. I don't know why, they just keep feeding me that junk, and so I get lost watching it.
You see where they put the fire on the ears to get rid of the ear hair?
Yeah.
That stuff's crazy. I wouldn't even try that.
I've done it. I've tried it myself. It was a little. You have to be quick with it. You know what I mean?
Did you really?
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, because it gets bad sometimes, and you're like, oh my god, and it's just a quick little wet.
Nose hair.
Yeah, that might be a little dangerous because you have to breathe it in and everything like that. Have you done
True.
Do you offer that service at the shop where you get the wax in the nostrils and that's the new
No. So the first shop I worked at when I got here, they did that, and then when I left and opened my own shop, I was like, I don't really want to buy the wax pot because you have to buy a little pot for the wax to heat up in. Got to buy all these other things. I was like, I'm just going to do strips. I'm just going to do haircuts, beards, and shaves. Simple, easy. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I don't do that stuff.
No.
I've had it done.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you have all your nose hairs ripped out at once. Interesting.
It didn't hurt. I thought it was going to hurt. But
So speaking of doing things all the way, let's talk about tattoos because you referenced you being all tattooed, and we're on video, so may as well address it. But like, how much of you is covered in tattoos at this point?
Shit, I don't know. Let's see what I have.
Because quite a bit of you at least in frame was covered. I didn't know if you had like.
Oh yeah,
covered.
I have little strips down my ribs that aren't covered, and then the back of my thighs aren't covered. The rest is.
Wow.
So like my knees, my shins, the front of my thighs, my ass, my back, my neck, my head. Yeah. So.
How long will it take to amass?
Oh shit, man! I've been getting tattooed since I was in my early 20s. I'm 36 now.
Yeah. So at least a little more than a decade.
A little bit because I kind of stopped for a while,
I have to ask, what made the jump what made you decide to jump to the facial tattoos?
Oh man, I ran out of room.
Yeah.
I had before I got my kids' names are on my face. Before I got those, I had sideburn tattoos. You can't see them now because of the beard. Straight razor and then a key on this side and like a little Fred Perry symbol because I really like those shirts and I like the way it looked, But I kind of was just like, I already have my hands and my neck, and this much of my body. I like the way it looks, so why not?
Right.
I'm obviously like I'm able to look how I want because of my career. I'm successful. It's not going to hurt my career, so why not? I never thought I would get it on both sides, though. I'll tell you that much. I didn't plan on having 2 kids, and thankfully I did. So
got the symmetry in action. You can't have just one because then it would look a little off.
That was the thing. Yeah, back when I used to have piercings, I couldn't just have one. I had to have both. It was weird. I had both sides of my nose, or I'd have my septum, both sides of my nose a couple times. I had my cheeks, snake bites. I had dermals under both of my eyes. Both my ears were stretched. Tops of my ears were stretched. A lot of symmetry.
What kind of your shop? What kind of feel is it at the Las Vegas shop? There is it kind of like an old school scene kind of shop with the traditional like haircuts, like the more traditional older style kind of.
Those are the kind of haircuts I do. Classic, more so classic fades and haircuts like that. I do new stuff too, texturized cuts, but it's kind of a creepy vibe. The name of the shop's called Requiem. Which means like remembrance of the dead. That's like the name of that's what they translate to, I guess you could say. I want to get like shirts made with like zombies with like really nice haircuts and have it like say Requiem on it. I think that'd be cool. That's the whole vibe, real spooky. I have like, it's all black inside, nice old school, cool looking chair. And I love some really cool, dark occult like art and that kind of shit too. So it's kind of like you step into the shop and you feel like very like, I don't know, witchy.
Yeah, like you put some thought into the aesthetic.
Yeah, I've never seen a barbershop that was like that. So I kind of thought it was cool. Plus, it's me. I'm into all that shit. So,
yeah. Do you play your own band in there?
Actually, yeah. A lot of it's really crazy because a lot of my clients. It sounds stupid to say, but we're not stupid. But a lot of my clients are fans.
That's cool.
It's fucking awesome. Like they would all come see me whenever I play Vegas. And some of them tell me they're like 12 years old, and I'm like, that makes me feel old as shit.
Right.
And I have other clients who aren't fans, but a lot of them were, and the ones that never heard me before always want to ask, like they want to hear what my music sounds like. So I'll show them on YouTube, on the TV, and everything like that. So, sometimes more so I'll play whatever the client asks or wants to listen to more so, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I kind of like to tailor it to each client.
Yeah. Something tells me it's a heavier vibe in general, though, with the aesthetic.
You'd be surprised, man. I listen to like Bon Iver or Isley or Paramore. I listen. My music taste is very vast. I like everything, man.
So
like
how do you get into writing heavier stuff? Like, how do you become in heavier projects if you're all over?
Well, I have like my mainstay bands in every genre, you know what I mean? So like I have my specific heavy bands I like and other ones. But what we'll do, and this is what Suffokate did back in the day too, is they would write the songs and I'd listen to the songs until it kind of evoked some kind of emotion in me. And then I would just go from there, and it kind of would just go. With this band being the name is what it is, the vibe is what it is, I had a general theme in mind for every song I want to write. You know, it's a very, very anti-religion kind of message, you know. So, I mean, the name itself means like original voice of hell, original voice of sulfur, you know what I mean? So I wanted all the lyrical content to go with that.
And where does that where does that kind of, you know, stem from?
In Suffokate, I had a bunch of songs that were very anti-religion. Mm-hmm. So I've always kind of been like, I went to church as a kid. I've studied theology. I've read the Bible. I've studied various other religions, all that stuff. I like to learn about them, so I know why I don't believe them. You know what I mean? So I'm not ignorant to it.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, people like quote Bible verses, and I'll be like, oh well, and I'll and be like, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah. So. You know,
it is what it is when it comes to that, you know, religion or no religion. Speaking of, you brought up like your diet earlier. What made you kind of clean up your diet and kind of like start hitting the gym?
I mean, shit. On tour, you can't really eat very well unless, you know, like back in the day, you couldn't anyway. They didn't really do meal preps and stuff like now. Like all these bands are all physique, you know, like dudes are like in great shape, and they have meal prep sponsors and shit like that. You know, they didn't do that back in the day. So, you know, I've always, even back in Suffokate, I hated the way my body looked. I've always hated being a skinnier, lanky looking guy. You know, I always like thought I didn't have like a man's body, as stupid as that sounds. You know, body dysmorphia, right?
Right.
I still have it. I still have it to this day. I just hated what I saw in the mirror and decided to do something about it. And just decided to eat everything in my way. Everything I just ate and went and lifted heavy shit. And over the last, you know, almost 10 years, I put on 100 pounds, give or take. So, you know, some of it has been a gut, some of it has been other things.
You're
which has then got worked off.
You're lifting, obviously, because you got a lifting shirt on and everything like that. So you're putting the weights up, putting them down, you know.
Yep, lifted heavy shit up, putting it down.
So what's in the future for Ov Sulfur? I know you guys are, you know, working towards a full length release, correct? And what's coming up?
we just announced our EP, which is gonna come out on the 6th of August.
Okay.
Yeah, 6th of August.
So this will come out a little.
What?
It's a whole month earlier.
I'm sorry. No. Oh my God. It's on our Instagram. I forget right now. Jeez. So much stuff going on. We've been doing a lot of stuff, so it's all kind of jumbled.
You got a lot of news things going on this week.
We're going to be putting out the EP. We just released the song with Tim. We have our first debut show coming up.
8th, September 6th. So the EP is dropping September 6th.
8th, August.
August 6th, sorry. Jesus Christ.
August 6th. We've got it clarified.
The EP is that's my guitar player.
Yeah.
The EP is dropping August 6th, which is also our first show ever. My first show in almost 10 years.
Wow.
And that's in Las Vegas at Triple B's, or Backstage Bar and Billiards is what it's called. So that's the first one. Then we just announced 2 Arizona dates for the 2 days after. I forget the venues that those are at. Those are also on Instagram. And then we're just, seeing what the year holds. Probably do a little bit of touring, maybe. And then I guess get to work on writing some more stuff.
Yeah, that was my next question. How is touring looking like going forward? Because I know you are a business entrepreneur and you have your own your barbershop. So I didn't know how that was going to be going forward, if you could take off from that long, or depending on if it's just a couple weeks here.
I have a specific amount of time that I can take off to where I'm still profitable. Mm-hmm. Being that I am the only one in there, I don't have anybody to cover for me. Whereas if I owned a shop that had more people, I'd still be generating income. But I have a lot of savings, which recently I've done or I've put away just for stuff like this, so I can take off for a couple weeks or whatever to go do this. And my wife will very soon be starting her career, which in turn she'll be making more than me. So we'll be able to work it out,
Yeah.
No long, hardcore touring like I did back in the day, though. I can't do that. I don't want to be away from my family.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how's it going to be adjusting to that? Because obviously when you were touring previously, you didn't have a family. So have you kind of like thought of like how that might affect you out on the road?
Oh, yeah. I don't understand how parents, like, my kids are my everything, my world, right? I don't understand how people can be away from their kids for that long. Like, I feel like I'd be a wreck, A week or two here or there is different, obviously, than being gone for like months at a time. I can't do that. Like, I used to be gone for shit. I would be home a couple months a year, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
It was just extensive touring. So, thankfully I've somehow got lucky with the woman I married, who's just over the top supportive of everything I want to do. And she's even been like, if you want, you can go tour for that. Well, that's fine. That's whatever. Not, obviously I don't want to because I'll miss my wife. So we have it set up to a specific amount of time that I can do it, and a time that I can, go play for people. And it's obvious, to my surprise, that people seem to care about the music we're making and seem to care that I'm doing music again. So I want to be able to play for them and stuff. I remember going and seeing my favorite bands and how cool it was and how much it meant to me. And I want to see some of my new favorite bands and shit. Or play with them or tour with them.
Yeah.
So,
what are some of the what are some dream scenarios that you would like to get in the near future? What bands would you like to tour with?
Man, the bands I mentioned earlier, would be amazing.
Shore and such.
Doing some shows with Lorna Shore or Signs of the Swarm would be sick. I love Signs of the Swarm.
Mm-hmm.
Left to Suffer would be sick. Angel Maker would be sick. Carcosa, all of those, man. It would be awesome to tour with those bands. Dream tour, though, which probably, I won't hold my breath, but it would be amazing to play like big festivals or stuff with Demu, because Demu is like one of my favorite bands, or like Mayhem or any of these, like, Burzum, but that probably won't ever happen. So.
A lot of the black metal classics.
Yeah. I like black metal. I like, so, but, just stuff like that, or pretty much, I guess, I'm down to tour with pretty much anyone, just have fun. Like, this whole thing is to have fun. Unfortunately, the last bit of time I spent in the other band, it just wasn't enjoyable or fun anymore. The biggest thing with me and my dudes in this band is enjoying it and having fun with it. Obviously, now we're taking it more serious because of the response, which is, like I said, it's completely, I never thought it would happen.
Yeah.
So we're taking it a little bit more seriously, obviously, but I want to make sure it's still enjoyable, because if I'm not having fun doing it, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Is the EP coming out through anybody?
Just it's on. Just distro or Blood Blast distribution, but it's all independent. Besides that,
I was going to ask if you had any other kind of interest with any kind of label, or if you've been kind of like working that angle.
We haven't been. I don't necessarily want to go. There's like one label I would work with if everything linked up and everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, I'm not really into it. My experience with labels hasn't been, or what I've, know from other bands and everything like that. You have to be careful with that kind of stuff, because, everybody seems to be a shark out there. They want to take advantage and stuff like that. And, I'm 36 years old, man. I'm not trying to have that happen to me.
I feel you. Are you going to do any kind of physical copies and physical media with your releases in October?
Oh, yeah.
I'm in October, August. Sorry.
And I see.
You got me all fucked up too.
You do it too. Yeah, actually. So we have a bunch of things up right now on the merch store and on our, it's all on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that, with like pre-order for the EP and different merch bundles and dad hats and some new shirts that we just came out with and stuff like that. So. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully one day we'll be doing some vinyls. I've always wanted to do vinyl.
Yeah.
And I know it's huge right now. People love vinyl.
Yeah, no, it's big. Yeah. Physical media in general is kind of popping up. Tapes, CDs, vinyl.
Oh, yeah, man. So.
Well, Ricky, I don't want to keep you from band practice for too long. I know you got a long night ahead of you yourself. So I'll kind of cut us free here, but I appreciate you taking the time and, chatting with me this evening, man.
Oh, yeah. It's It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And once again, go ahead and what's the EP coming out? And it's gonna be out August 8th. Oh no, August 6th.
August 6th is when the EP Oblivion comes out. We got some good jams on there, and you can go up and pre-order it right now. It's on Indie Merch, and all the links for that are on our Instagram, just Ov Sulfur on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, or you can check it all out through my page, just Instagram. I am Ricky Hoover. Pretty simple, straightforward, and really looking forward to going out there and playing for everybody and seeing everybody and stuff.
Yeah, well, if you need any of those links, they'll be in the show description notes of the podcast, so make sure you check that out. And if you need a haircut and you're in the Las Vegas area, go by and see old Ricky Hoover, and he got you
Requiem.
Yeah, Requiem
barbershop.
He'll get you all faded up and looking spiffy. Well, Ricky, get to band practice, and hopefully we'll see you live soon, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Have a good one.
You as well, man. Thanks.